Hey guys, this is Undead from Team 6K. Today I'm not going to be talking about a deck in Duel Links or having a discussion about something in the game. Instead, I'm going to be talking about something that I think a lot of us feel pretty deeply about. 1 year ago today, on the day that I am recording this, the creator of the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise, Kazuki Takahashi, passed on from this world. For those of you who are unaware, an 11-year-old girl and her mother were drowning at a diving spot in Japan, and a US soldier swam out trying to save the two of them. And though he managed to, at some point his body gave out from exhaustion trying to bring them back to dry land, and Mr. Takahashi jumped into the water to save the three of them, and did so successfully at the cost of his own life. The heroicism he displayed on this day matches, if not exceeds, the impact that he left on the world with the stories that he told in his Yu-Gi-Oh manga series. I'm of the opinion that if you save anybody's life, you have made the biggest impact on the world that can ever be made. No amount of widespread fame or appreciation can stand close to the good that you put into the world by helping somebody else. To me, Kazuki Takahashi is the model of what we should all strive to be men and women that put others before ourselves. There is truly nothing better to be, in my opinion. The fact that Mr. Takahashi made that decision in that moment to put his own life at risk to help another is not a surprise to anybody that knows his work. Many people hear that name, Kazuki Takahashi, and all they know is that he made Yu-Gi-Oh, the TV show that became a card game that people play worldwide. Just another nerd's hobby. But that isn't how Yu-Gi-Oh began, and even while it was adapted into a card game, it retained what it originally was. Across the different series of Mr. Takahashi's fictional universes, the stories have always had rich and well thought out entertainment factors to them, but they have been first and foremost lessons for the viewers to learn, the target audience originally being the children of Japan to eventually the children of the world. People often talk about the so-called Season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh, being the Toei adaptation of the early Yu-Gi-Oh manga series before the standard card game became a staple of the series. They speak of how dark many of the episodes are, but if you look at the core of them, it is always the Dark Pharaoh bringing justice to people that would harm others weaker than themselves. These punishments would always be temporary, though they may have felt permanent in the moment, as we would see the punished characters still living later on as reformed versions of themselves, as they had learned their lessons. These micro-stories all point out that when you take advantage of those who are weaker than you to inflict harmful deeds, this is not a good mindset to have. It is not a healthy way to live, and at some point, someone or something is going to come along to take all the bad you put into the world and give it right back to you. The Pharaoh is a scary entity because of his power, but he was always much more merciful underneath than he seemed. His victims always survived and lived to grow as people, to become better people within themselves. In this way, the seeds are sown in the minds of Japan's children that there are people who will do bad things in the world, and that one day those people will have something bad happen to them that will give them a chance to change. But it also teaches that just because somebody does bad things, it does not mean that they cannot redeem themselves. So we must always be merciful to those who don't show mercy to us. We remember Katsuya Jonochi, translated as Joey Wheeler, as Yugi's best friend, that Yugi trusts with anything, just as much as he trusts Yugi with anything. But at first, Jonochi was a bully to Yugi, and only through mercy, redemption, and then forgiveness were they able to become the closest of friends. The friendships Yugi fosters throughout the series with his classmates and with the Pharaoh within him are another integral part of Mr. Takahashi's lessons, that people are stronger together than when they are apart. People often cringe at this notion, as many people don't see the legitimate value and power in friendship, and that is the exact societal issue that Mr. Takahashi's manga challenges. It is purely logical that the more people work together, the more likely they are to achieve a goal. But one could see that as these people working together are just using each other to get to that goal. So why would we even need friendship? There is something deeper there. The deuteragonist Kaiba Seto in Takahashi's story does not work alone. He has his little brother Mokuba working with him, and he has his entire company Kaiba Corp working for him. So he has no shortage of people working towards whatever goals he wishes to achieve. In fact, he has more people on his team than Yugi does. Despite this, Yugi always beats him. The difference, we are always told, is that Yugi believes in those that support him, and in return, those that he supports believe in him. What difference does that make? Kaiba has all the money, all the best cards, all the training. He is the best in the world at everything that he does except for a singular card game that he has become utterly obsessed with simply because it is the only aspect of his life that he doesn't have control over. His rough upbringing has had him obsessed with control over his own life, so much to the point where he simply must be at the top of all aspects of life, or he will not accept himself. This obsession leads to resentment towards himself, and that resentment leads to a deep depression that controls his whole life to the point where the very idea that he cannot prove himself against the pharaoh causes him to invent time travel so that he may do so. On his journey towards controlling his own life, Seto instead let his entire life be controlled by his obsession. Seto is unwilling to accept that anybody else could have control over any aspect of his life, including his feelings, but it has the opposite effect. He has no control at all. Yugi is not the same. He opens his heart to his friends and they do the same for him. He knows that he cannot control his life, so he makes sure that the people he calls his friends are the ones that have influence over him. He can trust them and they can trust him. We take the importance off of ourselves and see others as more important, and in return they see us as more important. That way everybody involved is important to each other, not just themselves. This is friendship. We have hopefully all experienced it, and we all know how free it feels to know that we have people that have our back, and how empowering it is for us to know that our having their back makes them feel free too. But still, many men reject the idea of friendship due to societal norms. But as we've seen over the course of history, many people have made friends with each other because they met through a common hobby. For example, enjoying Yu-Gi-Oh! Most of my closest friends I met through Yu-Gi-Oh! And I imagine this may very well be the same for you as well. Kazuki Takahashi said in an interview that he would rather tag duel with Jonochi rather than Seto. This is interesting because both characters started out as villains in the show, even if short-lived. The difference between them, Mr. Takahashi said, was that Seto was selfish, and tag dueling with Jonochi as a partner would be a fun and thrilling experience. It is shown countless times throughout the series that Seto is a better duelist than Jonochi, so why would he choose to tag duel with Jonochi? This is reflective of Mr. Takahashi's character, as well as reflective of the message of Yu-Gi-Oh! Winning is not when you vanish your opponent. Winning is when you are happy. Selfishness never causes happiness. Friendship, on the other hand, sparks joy. If victory means being selfish, then reject that victory. It is no surprise then that Yugi, who is on the side of friendship, always finds success in some way in the end, as will all of us, as long as we hold close to our heart that which is truly important, the same way that Kazuki Takahashi did throughout his whole life. Through his stories, the way he supported those in need, and in the way he died, Kazuki Takahashi has always been a hero. Thank you for watching, guys. I know this isn't the kind of content you subscribed for, but it's something I've wanted to get off my chest for a while. I owe a lot to Kazuki Takahashi indirectly, as I'm sure many of you feel you do as well. So his passing has been pretty emotional, even though I never truly knew him on a personal level. If you guys want to make some Yu-Gi-Oh! Friends though, I've got a Discord link in the description. We've got some really awesome people in there, and I hope to see you guys in there too. Have a great week, guys. This is Undead from Team 6K, signing out.